It's 1995, the night of St. Valentine's Day, 1:30. Okay, technically it's the 15th of February, but you got it. A group of FBI agents is running up the stairs of an apartment block. I have no idea why they chose the date. Maybe they hope they were going to find the person they were trying to catch in the bed with someone, or drunk. They knock at the door, and after 5 minutes, Kevin Mitnick opens. Now, it's 1:30, maybe he was sleeping, but let's say he didn't know what to do, he didn't expect that. So the FBI look at him and says, "Are you Kevin Mitnick?" And he says, "Absolutely not. You could just check outside of the door, it's another name." But the FBI know who he is. He's one of the top 10 most wanted people in America at that time. The FBI enters in the apartment and Mitnick runs away and dials something on the phone. He says he's talking to his lawyer, but the FBI stop him and take the phone. There's no one on the other side. Mitnick knows it's over and he falls on the floor, he starts puking. He's probably crazy nervous, and I understand that. I got the police at my door at 1 a.m. a few months ago, and it's weird enough like that. Imagine if you know that they are gonna arrest you. Inside a van parked on the street nearby, Tsutomu Shimomura and John Markov are crazy happy for the arrest of Kevin Mitnick. Now, the question you're going to ask is, who is Kevin Mitnick? Why did he deserve to be the most wanted person in America? And why so many people went to capture a guy for which the best resource was to dial something on the phone? And now for all of these, I will answer after the intro. There used to be phone freaks, and they had amazing names, like Mr. Duffy or Captain Crunch, crazy times. And what they did is they found a way to exploit the phone system of the time. And it started like in the weirdest possible way. Practically in a cereal box, they gave a whistle. And someone figured out that if you use that whistle on the phone, we're talking about landline phones, maybe something not all of you have acquaintance with. But anyway, if you use the whistle on a landline phone, you trigger a special function the technician used to program and test the phone system. Which means free calls! You could make free calls anywhere in the world with a whistle. To be fair, the original exploit belonged to a blind DJ called Danny Teresi that then called Captain Crunch, and they built various machines that allowed to do various functionalities. If you didn't live in that time, practically when the phone began, you pick up the phone and you talk with someone. You know, like, "Can I please talk to Mrs. Smith number 25? And then after there were more than 25 people or 30, I don't remember, they decided to find a way to automatically move a call from one phone to the other. And they use pulses. And if you remember the old phones, you have to do this rotary thing where to do 0, you have to go all the way, or to do 1, depending on which part of the world you are, because they are in reverse. Anyway, after that, we had tones. And the nice thing of tones is you can make them with anything. And when I mean anything, someone went on TV and demonstrated that was able to make a phone call using his voice, which is pretty amazing. It's practically the precursor of, "Alexa, can you please call this guy for me?" Oh, I said Alexa. I hope your Alexa didn't call this guy for you. What do you expect phone companies to do if a group of people start becoming famous and producing machines to do free phone calls? You take it badly. They take it badly. Of course they take it badly. So Captain Crunch will do 1 year in prison. There were strange times. There were times in which trying to understand how things work suddenly became illegal. Suddenly it was defined by a word that we now know as hacking. But at the time, it was about understanding. And so we find other famous people among the people that try to understand the phone system, like Steve Wozniak, that maybe tells nothing to you if you're not in the IT world, but maybe you know about Steve Jobs, that was working with Wozniak, and they were both arrested because they were doing free phone calls. And it gets even weirder when you find Captain Crunch and Steve Jobs and Wozniak together in the middle of the night making a phone call to the Vatican to talk with the Pope, which was sleeping. Unlucky. I have no idea why what will be the brightest mind in IT in the world find themselves calling the Pope to ask for what? The bad thing is we will never know because they will never call again. But there's a lot of other conversation that came back in those days. Like when Wozniak say, I imagine that one day we will have computers that can fit in a house. And everyone laughed at him. I mean, at that time, computers were rooms. They would never fit in a normal small house. Well, turns out Wozniak was right. If you wonder, was all about phones? No, it wasn't. They started cracking software. Real software, computer software, and one day someone wrote them a letter. It was Bill Gates. And the letter was like, do you understand that my company is trying to build a software for profit, and by hacking it and making it free, you're going against the profit of my company? And I guess the underline was, and this is America, and America is about money, so stop it. And then Wozniak created the Apple I and the Apple II. So pretty much the hobby time, the hacking meeting at night, calling the Pope, that time was over. It was time to create the biggest company of today. It was also the time, we're talking about 1983, when the movie War Games came out. Now, maybe you don't remember War Games, but the plot is pretty much a guy with a lot of computer skill is able to hack the Pentagon and fake that there's a nuclear attack from Russia that is about to start a nuclear war. And that's the part I remember. It's a bit like Clockwork Orange, because the second part is when the same hacker helps the Pentagon stop the missile crisis, but they forgot that part. The point was, in the public opinion, hacking was dangerous. Not tiny dangerous, it can end the world with a global nuclear missile crisis. Crazy dangerous. And about the hack group, well, I cannot say that it collapsed because of that, but they last met in 1987, and at that point they were all CEO or owners of one of the biggest companies in America. So maybe they didn't want to share much anymore about how they do things. Maybe it's because the name hacking wasn't great at the time. Anyway, that was it. 1987, last meeting of those amazing people in a garage. Let's go back to Mitnick. He was born in 1963 in one of what would we call dysfunctional families, to be nice. So pretty much, he grew up alone. When he was 12 and he was on a bus, he realized that the bus ticket had value not when you buy them, but when the conductor punched them. And that was because you pretty much get a blank ticket and then it got punched by the amount of the value of the travel that you wanted to do. Which means that you can get the tickets for free, and all you have to do is do a punch in the same way as that machine. Which of course is not easy, and I guess it's something you thought every time you got a stamp at Pret or Nero, if I could just have one of those stamps that says I already got 8 coffee and I have the right to get a free one, I would have free coffee every day. The difference is, Mitnick went to the conductor and asked, where did you buy this punch machine? And the guy told him, oh, we buy it from this company. So he called the company and says, can I buy one? I said, of course you can buy one. And he got one, and he traveled for free for like 10 years. The main point of this story is not you can get a punch machine. The main point of this story is the easiest way to hack a system is through people. Do you know how long it would take to figure out who produced that machine? But you can just ask. And that act of asking with the idea of attacking a system is what is called social engineering. And Mitnick was a master at 12. Now, when you have someone with technical skill and social engineer skill in the time of phone freaks, the first thing he will do is abusing it. And not just abusing to call the Vatican, but abusing to access what back then was on the phone line system, computers and networks. I don't know if you ever hacked something, but it's a kind of thing that you do because you can do it. And maybe you show it to your friend. And so Mitnick decides with his friend to attack the Digital Equipment Corporation and steal their operating system, which probably he had no use for, but wow, he stole an operating system, it's cool. Let's admit it is cool. And then his friend decided to call the company and say that Kevin Mitnick attacked them and stole their software. I guess because they were shitty friends. I haven't, why would you do that? Why? At the time, hacking wasn't a clear concept. So even if the company knew who committed the crime, it will take 9 years before Mitnick will be convicted for it. But let's say we can skip it for now, okay? Let's move on. From 1979 to 1988, his brilliant mind made perfection out of social engineering. He probably hacked everything and whatever. It was already good. It was good since he was 12 and he became incredibly good. And then he got arrested. And he got sentenced 1 year, of which 8 months in isolation. Now, if you know anything about the human mind, a month in isolation, it's already horrible. 3 months, you start talking with your pillow. And 8 months, it's illegal in most countries, apparently not in the United States. I think in Europe it's illegal pretty much anywhere. So, 1 year in prison, he went out and he couldn't even get near a computer for 3 years. But he thought that for something he has done over the last 8 years, and he had done a lot of things, the FBI wanted to charge him. He wanted to put him in prison for a way longer time. And because he was worried of that, he decided to hack the FBI so he can listen to the phone conversation, which is the same reason why then he got arrested, which is interesting. Now, once he was out, he was convinced that the FBI wanted to charge him with something more. And because of the previous 8 years, there was a lot they could probably charge him with. And so he wanted to know more. And to know more, he hacked the Pacific Bell to listen to the phone calls of the FBI agents. And he was right, they did want to charge him. And guess what the FBI found out? That he hacked the Pacific Bell company to listen to conversation, which is weird. And so they decided to go and arrest him, but he was listening. And because he spent a year in prison, he knew it's a shit place to go. I mean, not like you don't go if you've never been in prison, but I guess once you've been to prison, you have a better idea about how much you don't want to go back in prison. And so he ran. And when I say ran, it means that he dropped everything, including his wife, and he changed state. The first thing you need when you escape is a new identity. But he was an amazing hacker, so he decided to get a decent identity. So he went to the university campus system, he hacked it, he found someone called Eric Weiss. He thought Eric Weiss was a sign of the destiny because it was the real name of Harry Houdini, and so he took his identity. And with that identity, he lived in North Carolina for quite a while, and that's the amazing part, he found a company that hired him as a private investigator, which is pretty much the legal version of doing what he was doing before, with the exception that the FBI was after him. On the other side, he was very aware of the situation, so he constantly monitored the FBI radio, FBI phones, everything he could. And more than once he was able to escape, just like tiny bit before he got arrested. And because this kind of hacker do weird stuff, at a certain point he decided, for example, to leave a donut box that says for the agent in his fridge before leaving. The last thing you want to do, that's an advice, if someone is trying to take you, to put you somewhere for a long time, don't piss them off. Just don't piss them off. Maybe it's better to make them think that they completely went to the wrong place. Maybe it was smarter to change the door number with your neighbor's door number so they enter in the wrong door. But, geniuses are like that. When the FBI wants to capture someone and they fail again and again, it often happens that a journalist decide to write about it. And that's what did John Markov on the New York Times. And he started writing about how incredibly hacking attack Mitnick was able to do, and how the FBI was unable to do anything about it. And he wrote a lot of articles, probably with a bit of exaggeration, like when he said that Mitnick was able to hack the NORAD system, which is pretty much the top layer of the security defense of US. But, people read newspaper because you exaggerate a bit. The main problem with FBI, or probably government agency in general, is they don't like when newspapers say they're unable to do something. And so, little by little, Mitnick went up and up and up to the priority. And that's how he arrived to the top 1 position of the most wanted. To be clear, it's the same position Osama bin Laden had. Top 1 most wanted person in the US. And at a certain point, something else happened. Mitnick was randomly hacking computers somewhere, and he hacked the computer of Tsutomu Shimomura, which was like one of the top experts in America on security, someone that went to Congress to discuss about security. And so he had a system in place to recognize it was hacked. And he also recognized that probably it was Mitnick. And because he was public about security, probably was also targeted by Mitnick when he started receiving phone calls that says something like, "My kung fu is better than yours," which was kind of a meme before memes. And there's the problem with geniuses. When they get challenged, sometimes they make their life mission to win. And so Shimomura went to the journalist and went public and says, I am the guy that will capture Mitnick. And that's why he was in the van a few meters away when Mitnick got arrested, because he had a huge part. And it was actually pretty amazing because he knew that Mitnick was going to his computer, so he created a login system that didn't exist in a way that Mitnick would not know that a login exists, and so he was able to trace his IP. Anyway, too many technical details. There's quite a few books on Mitnick. You can read them. The trial of Kevin Mitnick will last for 4 years. He was charged with 25 different things, mainly line hacking, but a bit of everything. The point was, on the public opinion, he became the scapegoat of everything. There is a risk of hacking for the nuclear attack, Kevin Mitnick. There is a risk of diverging missiles that are destined to other countries to our, Kevin Mitnick. There is the possibility to stop electricity in the country, Kevin Mitnick. Possibility to hack the bank system, Kevin Mitnick. Pretty much everyone thought if there was one person able to hack everything, that was Kevin Mitnick. And the problem with public opinion in a trial lasts for years is that probably judges and jury are also influenced by that. Anyway, it wasn't too bad, like 5 years in prison, and then it was forbidden for life to access anything which was more technological than a toaster, pretty much. Then in 2002, he was able to get a license for an amateur radio, probably because you cannot hack anything on a radio, there's no keyboard, I don't know. But little by little his life started becoming normal again. He's on Twitter now. Was. No idea what happened after Musk, but he was on Twitter. I followed him on Twitter. I need to check if he's still there. And if you wonder what he does today, well, he's a living legend and he's one of the most famous security experts in IT. So he does what he always done for good, pretty much. And about the most famous thing he did, apart from hacking everything, he invented IP spoofing, pretty much a way to fake who you are on the internet, which is amazing. And social engineering, which again is amazing and can be used for anything, not just for bad thing. But as he said in his book, The Art of Deception, the only secure computer is a computer turned off, which is pretty true. And to give you an idea about how true it is, big companies have something called red and blue team, which are security experts. And because I do this job, I talk with people that have done very weird stuff. Like someone took an RC plane and started looping around a skyscraper to connect to the Wi-Fi of a specific office. Or I saw someone that was able to take an old phone like a Nokia 3310 and turn it in a communication device able to hack a machine from a distance. And what you normally care about is the password, and he was able to understand the frequency of the CPU when the password was inserted. Or someone else proved that he was able to hack a machine in a way that the blink of the light outside communicated in Morse code the password to someone with a binocular far, far away. And if you think that hacking is about being an amazing target, it's really not about that. So if you find a USB stick somewhere on the floor that says no porn, do not connect it. To be fair, do not connect anything to your computer that you found on the floor. And do not connect a charging cable in an airport, because a charging cable can be used to hack your phone as well. Just be safe, because hacking isn't about just big corporation. Any laptop can be used to attack another laptop. So if you're hacked, maybe one day the police will knock at your door because they think that it is something illegal. So be safe out there. And by the way, I'm super happy that I was able to do another video in English. So it's time to subscribe, so I will be pushed to do more videos like this. Have a great day.